Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Top of the Key. There's a handful of games left, but we're going to take a deep dive and see what the Aces have to do to push for that third World Championship. But joining me today is Carolyn Peck and Krista Blunt. Thank you guys for joining us.
Absolutely. It's crunch time.
Well, let's talk about the Aces. On the side of offense and defense, but let's first address offensively. What does the Aces have to do to be better and put themselves in position to win another championship?
Well, Nikki, you played at Tennessee. What did Pat Summitt say? Offense sells tickets, defense wins games,
and rebounds
wins championships. And I think that on both sides of the ball, the most important thing that the Aces need to focus on is they've got to get a few more offensive rebounds, and they've got to keep their opponents off the glass. If they keep their opponents off the glass, you know what that does? That allows the Aces to get down the floor and run in transition. That's something that's slowed down since the break.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, when you look offensively at the team overall, I think that there are some key players that have to do their job every single game. And so we're talking about consistently coming out for as close to 40 minutes as you can and doing what you're supposed to do. And that's going to be Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young. I really believe they're double-digit scorers, and they've got to be able to bring that. They have to be that threat every single game. Their numbers have been down. They need to get those up, but they're always going to work it through A'ja Wilson. She's been a consistent cog for the team. She's got to have some others to go with her.
And I think Becky's got to be willing to see if Jackie Young and Kelsey Plum aren't getting it done. Hey, the way Kate Martin was playing at the beginning of the year, give her an opportunity. We haven't seen much from Kirsten Bell. Listen, that's a big guard, and I keep talking about in this league, the size and length on the perimeter. Give KB a shot. I mean, this is a player that could shoot the basketball extremely well. When she played last season, she came in, didn't make many mistakes. At least give her an opportunity in the latter part of the season, so if you need her in the playoffs, she's got that experience.
I think defensively, when you do go to a bigger lineup and you're talking about some of the bigger guards that are on this roster, it gives Becky and her staff a chance to switch up what they would like to do defensively.
Oh, I agree 100%, because that's what teams are doing to the Aces. If they have a big guard, they recognize a mismatch. They're taking our smaller guards inside and posting up. So I think it is key for us. If we got big guards that are available, give them an opportunity, because this is a team, the Aces can shoot the basketball. They got to get on track and do that consistently, but you can do that with all of your guards, get that rotation.
And we're starting to see Becky Hammond do a little bit more of this. We've seen her go to Megan Gustafson a little bit more. She brings some energy. She brings a little bit more of a scoring threat. So it's going to be game by game, she said, with those spots as well. We've seen her bring Sydney Colson in occasionally. She brings an energy and a spark. So they're not going to be expected to play 30-plus minutes, but you've got to see what those players can do for you. And I think she's starting to look that way. It's hard to get out of that setup sometimes when you're used to relying so heavily on those starters. We're starting to see her do a little bit. I'd like to see her do a little more.
I like that you brought up Sydney Colson. Every time Sid comes in the game, she makes something happen. Yeah. If it's a defensive spark or hitting a key basket or a little shimmy move in transition, but it's always something positive. So I think Sid Colson, could be key. She was key in Game 4 to win that championship last year.
Well, we can also talk about A'ja Wilson as everything offense and everything defense. She's doing everything she can possibly do to position this team to win. Let's just dive in on A'ja Wilson a little bit. What else could she possibly do?
Ooh, well, if she could bottle up her mentality and serve it up and share it a little bit, that would be good. I'm going to tell you, A'ja has given everything and been intentional about it this season of doing everything that she can for this team. I think that one of the things, though, that she can do is help her team unsaddle the adversity that they have gone through in the early part of the season, because trying to carry that along, that's tough. Yeah. And so really teaching her team how she's able to move on to the next game. Very rarely have you ever seen A'ja Wilson put back-to-back bad games together, right? Nope. So if she can help some of her teammates that have struggled this season get out of their own way and really prepare the way that she has, I think that's something else that Asia could possibly do.
Yeah, and she is a vocal leader. She's willing to go and talk with individual teammates. She's willing to talk with them as a group, and they'll listen to her. Obviously, they respect her, and you can't say much about the way she's been playing. I mean, it's just incredible what she's doing, and she brings it every single game. But I'm with you. She's just got to find a way to help her teammates look past what's happened and know that, okay, we thought we get back from the break, everything's just going to be roses, but it hasn't been that easy. And so everybody else is getting better too. They've got to have her mindset.
And one thing I haven't heard Asia say all season long is, I'm doing my job. What about you? Yeah. She still has that team mentality, and she just wants this team to get better, to get back on track, to do what they did to win their first 2 championships.
I recall her saying that if she gives everything to her team, that is what she expects from herself. And in return, she obviously wants that as well. But when we started the season, we obviously didn't have Chelsea Gray. 6-6 without Chelsea Gray. Upon the return of Chelsea Gray, 10-2. And since the Olympic break, offensively, she's gotten better. But the play of Chelsea Gray is going to be crucial for the Aces.
Oh, it's going to be clutch, because she is that playmaker that can see the floor and get the right players the basketball in the right spots. She also helps with Becky in calling plays on the floor. Becky has said many times the play she's about to call, Chelsea's already a step ahead. But when the better that Chelsea Gray plays, I think it's more important now for Jackie Young and Kelsey Plum and Kia Stokes and AC, Tiffany, run the floor. Because the better that Chelsea's playing, I'm still looking for those home run passes, those Tom Brady long distance passes to come. But in order to have those, you got to have players that are sprinting the floor.
Yep, they got to get up the floor. She's willing to give it to him, and she'll find him. There's no doubt. You better be ready. The other thing I love about Chelsea's game, her numbers as far as scoring are up also. I think she's as healthy as she's been in a very long time. She's feeling better, and you can see the numbers are looking better too.
But you can't run the basketball if you don't have the basketball. It's a lot easier to run the basketball off of misses than it is make. So defensively, you're going to have to get those defensive stops. So the other players that we talked about earlier, we talked about Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, but let's talk about Jackie Young and what she must do in this latter part to push the Aces forward.
Jackie has had to play in a couple of different positions this season. I think it's easier to be in a rhythm when you play in the same spot, same role all season long. Well, now her role, because Chelsea was out, she had to run the point. Chelsea's come back. Sometimes still Jackie runs the point, and then she doesn't. And I think now what Jackie needs to do, listen, if I were Becky Hammon, I would take Jackie Young's highlight clip from last season, and I would just make her watch that over and over again before every game throughout the rest of the season and into the playoffs, because Jackie had finally convinced herself that she is a star, and she needs to remind herself that she is a star in this league.
Yeah, I think we're seeing glimpses of it. And I think the big word that Becky Hammon's talking about now is sustainability. How can she sustain it? We've seen some glimpses of the old Jackie. We've got to get that to be out there the majority of the game.
And Kelsey Plum, I mean, she's a player that can knock down the big shot when you need it, and she also can distribute the basketball when need be.
I think that Kelsey Plum needs to take all of the different attributes of her game. We saw her assist the basketball in the Dallas game. We've seen her be consistent at scoring. We saw her play defense in Paris. So it's kind of like that Greek salad. Mix all that together and bring it for the Aces down the stretch.
Love a good Greek salad. I'm with you on that. I will say her
What kind of seasoning are you putting in there? Because she needs to be spicy, too. I like when she's a little spicy.
Spicy Italian.
Oregano, and put some artichokes in there, and then you put a little chili pepper. That's when you get to spice. That's one heck of a Greek salad.
Bring the heat.
You know what, though? Her numbers on the rebounding side of things are actually kind of up as of late. So I'm not opposed to the guards getting involved on the boards also. I think they're going to be a big key, and she's one of those.
Another player who's got to get involved on the boards is Kia Stokes. Her play last year was critical. She and Asia, I remember Asia sharing the Defensive Player of the Year award with Kia Stokes. So talk about Kia Stokes and her play and how it can help the Aces by her just doing a couple of things like rebounding the basketball.
Well, I think that that's important. And Not just on the defensive end, but offensively as well. I think that when you have a player you know is going to go get those offensive boards, it gives you a lot more confidence to pull the trigger. And something that I have not seen from Kia in the latter half, especially since the break, is her put her head down and sprint the floor in transition. So I think with Kia Stokes, yes, we want to get rebounds, block shots, and that's something you know you're going to get. You can get always from Kia Stokes. But the other thing, the transition baskets.
Yeah, we talked with Kia about it, about getting out on the break. When's she going to get out and let Chelsea find her? And she said, we're getting close, we're getting close. We still haven't seen it yet. And so, again, her role has changed a little bit. Sometimes she's starting, sometimes she's coming off the bench. When you're coming off the bench, sometimes that'll bring those numbers down as well. You're not getting quite as many minutes and opportunities to do those things. But you knew you could count on rebounding, some block shots, and an occasional putback from Kia. Haven't had those as of late. Got to have those when she's out there. And
when you look at that position in particular, Coach Hammond has moved around players. She's obviously put Megan Gustafson there. She's also put Alicia Clark there. How different is Alicia Clark for the Aces being in the starting lineup at the 4 spot?
Well, when you have Alicia Clark, it's like having 4 guards on the floor and the ability to spread the floor and really play a 4 out, 1 in. But Alicia Clark is also one of these players. She made a living at it when she played at Belmont and at Middle Tennessee of going inside, and she has the ability to score around bigger players. Mm-hmm. The thing that you need from AC, though, is the confidence to knock down that outside shot when it comes to her. And she has shown the ability to do that. So AC, she's got to be ready, confident when it comes to you, and you're open, she got to knock those shots down.
Yeah, and be ready when she comes in, bring the energy. And she'll be a starter occasionally as well, not quite as much as maybe Gustafson's been gone to as of late, but she's got to bring some energy also. That's going to be this role for the group that comes in. They got to bring a different level of intensity, and they got to be ready to look to push. I think transition and tempo can be really key. And you know a player that always does that is Tiffany Hayes. Her numbers have been phenomenal.
Yes, they have. And you mentioned Megan briefly here, but let's talk about what she brings. So, Carolyn, I know you had talked to her the other day. Could you just share with us the mentality that she has by being in that 5 spot, which allow Asia now to play, not have to guard the center, so to speak, but she talked about that a little bit with you.
Megan told me that, you know, her number 1 goal in coming into the game is to bring energy. But number 2, why that energy? She wants to make Asia Wilson's job easier. How about that?
Right,
she comes in the game and wants to make her teammates' jobs easier. Yeah. So if she has to come in, let's take Dallas, for instance. She's got to take on Tiara McCowan. So Asia doesn't have to deal with that size. Yeah. It frees her up. Like somebody that embraces that role, wants to do that service heart to play with. Yeah. Megan Gustafson's a great teammate, somebody I would always want on my team.
Yeah, she said, I don't care how many minutes I get. I'll start or I'll come off the bench. I care what I do with those minutes. And I love that because it matters. She comes in and she knows, I'm going to do something with them. I'm going to make something happen. You'll see her willing to dive to the court or whatever she's got to do. And you're right, take on the bigger defender, whatever it is. Full team mentality. I love that about her.
And another player, Krista, Tiffany Hayes. I know we talked. You were talking about her a minute ago, but this is a young lady who could be considered 6th Woman of the Year. And she's done a great job for the Aces in joining the Aces at a late time in the season, but now she's finding her rhythm. But Tiffany Hayes has been crucial for the Aces as well.
Another player, you don't have to worry about bringing energy as soon as she subs in. It is instant energy with Tiffany Hayes. The effort that she gives, I mean, almost to a point where it worries me a little bit. She is just so all or nothing kind of player at both ends of the floor. And I love the fact that if she makes a mistake at one end, she will come back on the other end and make up for it, whatever it might be. I think team player first. She's another player. If you want me to start, I will. If you need me to come off the bench, I will.
That is a valuable nugget that Becky Hammond has coming off the bench because for the majority, if not all of Tiffany Hayes' career, she's been a starter.
Yeah.
So to be able to turn the switch and come off the bench and bring the energy and effort, she is a player that can take the momentum and the tempo of the game to another level because of her quickness. Now, and you referred to her as a young lady. I still I can't get over that Tiffany Hayes is 34 years old. With the energy and the speed of how she plays and how many times she ends up on the floor, I'm like, you know, I hope Tiffany gets back up because she does. She lays it on the line.
I'm gonna call her seasoned. How we call her
Seasoned's a better word.
Okay,
Seasoned.
Okay. But I will say this, when we look at what the Aces, just kind of, let's go 50,000 feet, right? What does the Aces have to do? Just give me your final thoughts on what do they have to do in order to win their third straight world championship?
Defend. They've got to bring the defense. And when I talk about defense, like all 5 players have got to be on the same page. Yep. You have to finish your defense with rebounding. That will allow you to get out in transition. And then on the offensive end, the ball's got to pop. Becky Hammond talks about it all the time. What does that mean? It's got to move. You've got to be willing to give up a good shot to get a great shot. And when it's moving like that, and you don't care who scores all the points, as long as the Aces score, that's when they're really good.
I'm with you, and I think that part of that is just getting back to basics, and you can never go back to basics enough. I think that it's one of those little things where you practice all those silly little drills or little things. Well, keep reiterating in your mind the basics and those fundamentals of what's our system. What do we live and die by? We assist. We find our teammates. We play together. I also think they've got to find a way to move on. How many games do we have left? All the rest is in behind us. Let's not trickle into the playoffs. We know we're in. Let's make a statement coming into the playoffs.
What does Becky say? You don't tiptoe into a bar fight.
I think you got to go one game at a time.
Yep.
One quarter at a time. One possession at a time. Let's continue these conversations. Look forward to joining everyone next week on Top of the Key.